Shame on Macron. UK's economy outstrips France down the road as Macron's leadership caused downfall. Britain's economy is set to power way ahead of France within the next 15 years, a report has forecast. Booming investment in high-technology industries is expected to help the UK's business growth outstrip that of its neighbour and historic rival on the other side of the Channel, says the annual survey from the Centre for Economics and Business Research, CEBR. And the UK continues to benefit from the economic reforms carried out under Margaret Thatcher's government in the 1980s, according to the research. The findings come in the independent business forecasting think tank's annual World Economic League table, which examines the growth prospect of 193 countries. In a huge embarrassment to French President Emmanuel Macron, the research predicts that the British economy will be 16% bigger than that of France by 2036. It estimates that the UK economy, worth around £2.1 trillion, is already 3.6% bigger than France's. Daniel Neufeld, director and head of forecasting at CEBR, said, "One of the features of this new forecast is its environmental focus. The range of extreme weather events this year has highlighted environmental concerns which concluded with the pledges made at COP26. To achieve the ambitious goal of decarbonizing the world economy by the middle of the century, all countries need to step up their efforts. Importantly, we have identified nearly 700 companies out of the world's top 2,000 who have made net zero pledges, in many cases for 2030 or earlier. We estimate about $5 trillion a year in additional investment in decarbonization will be required, though some of this will substitute for other investment. Of this, around $2 trillion will be passed on to the consumer in the form of higher costs for transport and energy." This year's World Economic League table estimates that the UK has the world's fifth largest economy with a gross domestic product of around £36,357 per head of population. The report predicts Britain will drop to sixth position in the league table behind India in 2026. France, currently the globe's sixth largest economy, is predicted to fall to seventh position next year and remain in that position for the foreseeable future. The research is to boost British financial institutions in the competition with France to attract highly qualified staff. According to the CEBR research, a strong global recovery from the COVID pandemic and rising inflation will mean that world GDP is set to surpass $100 trillion for the first time in 2022. The benchmark is set to be met 2 years earlier than the think tank predicted a year ago. Slower growth in China following the COVID pandemic is also highlighted by the report. India, after overtaking France and the UK in 2019, has fallen back behind the UK in 2020 and further behind France in 2021. Nevertheless, CEBR raises red flags over government spending to protect the economy during the pandemic. While it considers the government's fiscal response to be largely sound, it notes public debt as a share of GDP has reached 108.5% in 2021. With austerity increasingly unpopular, it says unlocking growth in the post-COVID, post-Brexit era will be crucial in ensuring that the debt burden remains sustainable. Looking at a global picture, CEBR forecasts the global economy will top $100 billion, £75 billion, for the first time next year, 2 years earlier than the consultancy expected in its previous annual report. CEBR still expects China to become the world's largest economy, but it does not expect the country to overtake the US until the end of the decade, rather than in 2028 as previously anticipated following the pandemic. The report also suggests Germany is on course to have a larger economy than Japan by the 2030s, while consumers will face costs of $2 trillion a year over the next 15 years as economies transition to net zero years.